I ain't killed nobody, never did ever kill nobody. They don't have no evidence against me. Came and put me in Las Vegas.
61-year-old Dwayne Keffy D. Davis says the night of the murder, September 7, 1996, he was in Los Angeles, 300 miles from the Las Vegas intersection where Tupac Shakur was gunned down.
People keep repeating what they claim happened to Snoop Dogg, but if you really pay attention, we actually watched how this whole situation played out from the very start. At first, Snoop and Tupac were solid, like no issues at all. But hold up, things slowly shifted once tension started building between Suge Knight and Snoop Dogg. Then suddenly, you see distance grow between Snoop and Tupac, and it wasn't random. It lined up exactly with that fallout behind the scenes. Now, a lot of folks were saying Snoop should have stepped in, been the bigger person, and tried to squash everything. But let's be real, he didn't go that route. And you gotta remember, Snoop Dogg has deep ties with the Crips, and Keith D is known as a high-ranking figure, like one of the top guys in that circle. So when the feds start connecting dots, they're not doing it for no reason. They're lining up pieces, and now receipts are starting to surface everywhere. You won't believe this, but just the fact that Snoop's name is being brought into this tells you how serious it's getting and where this might be headed. Man, R.I.P. Tupac. If you rock with him, go ahead and drop that in the comments, because this whole situation is honestly heartbreaking. At the same time, it's wild seeing how investigators are finally digging deeper and trying to uncover what really happened. And now they're even linking Snoop Dogg to Keith D, which just adds another layer to a story that already felt bigger than people realized.
Everyone wondered who killed Tupac. Snoop blamed the man that was driving the car he got shot in that night.
The most feared figure in all of hip-hop.
You put all of our lives in jeopardy like that, you don't care about Pop.
And confronted him face to face.
Come up to my room, ain't gonna be nobody in there, just me and you. This either the moment you gonna kill me, and we're gonna get some clarity in this air.
But did Snoop Dogg know something was going to happen that night?
The next day, when we turned on the news, all we seen was the yellow tape, and it just was all bad.
Shakur was shot 4 times after leaving the Mike Tyson boxing match in Las Vegas in a car driven by Marion Suge Knight, head of his label Death Row Records.
So I jumped in my Hummer and we drove to Vegas. Suge was at home. He was standing up, but he had like a patch up. His head was wrapped up. And he came and explained to us as far as what had happened.
This might explain why nobody ever really came after Diddy back then, why he stayed free for so long in connection to what happened to Tupac. Instead, they went straight for Keith D because he started talking and admitted he was in the car with the person who actually carried it out on Tupac. No matter how people try to spin it, one thing feels certain. Tupac is going to get justice eventually. And listen, if it turns out to be someone fans once respected, someone people supported for years, a lot of opinions are going to change overnight after everything comes out tied to Snoop Dogg. Once this hits the streets for real, you already know what's going to happen. People either tear it apart or run wild with it. Everybody knows by now you can't move through life thinking everyone around you is solid or really has your back. Some people only stick around when it benefits them, and that's just the harsh truth. And let's be honest, a lot of folks don't even break things down. They just hear something and dismiss it if it doesn't match what they want to believe. Egos get involved and people only accept narratives that make them feel comfortable. You won't believe this, but the moment Snoop Dogg's name came up, it hit different. I was like, wait. Snoop was right there during that era with Tupac, Suge Knight, and even ties around Diddy. And remember, Snoop himself said Tupac and Biggie were once cool, so whatever happened between them is deeper than people think. It's all connected. At the end of the day, once the feds step in, it doesn't matter who you are or how much money you've got. They're going to dig until they find answers. They take their time, but they go all the way, and they don't stop until they get who they're looking for. You can't underestimate anybody in situations like this because people are capable of things you wouldn't expect. Now, if Snoop Dogg had any involvement in that situation, that's wild, allegedly, of course. There's talk going around that he had connections in play and may have even signaled to Diddy that Keith D could be used in all of this. If that's true, then linking Keith D and Diddy together could explain how they were able to track Tupac's movements. No matter how you look at it, it's tragic that things even went this far. But some people put themselves in situations they can't escape. And let's be real, you can't leave trails everywhere and think nobody's going to piece it all together eventually. They warned him multiple times, told him to slow down, to move differently, to stay out of the way. But Tupac, he still stepped out there, and deep down, everybody knows he moved fearlessly.
In one of the most notorious cold case killings in modern American history, and this morning, the man known as Keefe D is breaking his silence from behind bars.
We ain't meant to survive, cause it's a setup.
The death of rap legend Tupac Shakur nearly 30 years ago became one of the nation's most notorious unsolved murders.
Hey Keith, Metro Police, come over here.
Then in 2023, a breakthrough when prosecutors charged this man with ordering the hit, the only person arrested for Shakur's murder, who now tells ABC News authorities have the wrong man.
Tupac moved like he had nothing to lose, no matter what was happening around him back then, or how dangerous things really were. Tupac, even now you can feel it. His name never faded. It's still alive and heavy in the culture. And people like Foxy Brown and others who were there at the time have said it themselves. Tupac had a way of reaching people on a deeper level. He didn't just make music. He shifted mindsets and pushed artists to explore different sounds and directions. Y'all gotta remember, Tupac was one of the key voices trying to bridge the gap between the East Coast and the West Coast. Go ahead and hit that like button if you believe Tupac really tried to unite both sides instead of dividing them. No matter how people spin it today or what narrative they try to push, you can't go through life underestimating what people are capable of doing. Now, if Diddy allegedly put money behind something, that's one angle. But listen, they never officially said he was at the scene or tied directly through phone records to Keith D. And that right there is what makes people start looking sideways at Snoop Dogg, because his name keeps getting brought up out of nowhere. Man, it's honestly tragic how all of this played out, and I wish none of this had ever happened the way it did. But then you got Keith D stepping in, giving statements, saying one thing here and another thing there, even claiming he was innocent at one point. He even told them those interviews were just for money, like he was trying to profit off the story. Now think about that. And when you tell the feds something like that, it just makes the whole situation look worse, like you're trying to dodge responsibility. Because at the end of the day, it feels like he was involved, but didn't want to face the consequences that come with it. When you line everything up, from witnesses to timelines, it all points back to what went down that night. People at the scene said Tupac had just left the MGM, and everything started unfolding right after that moment. Once he walked out, they got into the car and things started moving fast. Tupac chose the passenger seat right away instead of driving, which is something that a lot of people still talk about. Then you see him rolling the windows down, just sitting there while Suge Knight was pulling out of the lot. By the time they reached that intersection, things were already lining up in a way that didn't feel right. There were people around, some attention being drawn, but not enough traffic to stop what was about to happen. And that's what makes it so sad, because one small moment can change everything forever. Witnesses say something caught Tupac's attention, and at the same time, it may have caught the shooter's attention too. And once that connection happened, that's when everything spiraled. As soon as they stopped at the light, Keith D's car pulled up, just like that. Next thing you know, shots start ringing out toward Tupac's vehicle. Both Suge Knight and Tupac were hit at that moment, and chaos broke out instantly. Suge sped off right after, trying to escape the situation as fast as possible. At the time, it seemed like the people responsible got away with it, and for years they really did, until Keith D started talking publicly and doing interviews. Some things just aren't meant to be said on camera, and this might be one of those cases. Not everything needs to be recorded, but some people don't know when to stop talking. The feds believe Keith D thought he was untouchable, like he could speak freely without consequences. But in the end, all that talking may have come back around on him. And he knew a lot about different situations, different people, things that allegedly went on behind the scenes. Still, he made the choices he made, even knowing the risks tied to all of it. And now it looks like he tried to shift the blame toward Diddy instead of mentioning Snoop Dogg. Maybe because he didn't want to be labeled a snitch by certain people. But now all this information is coming out, and things are starting to connect in ways people didn't expect. And I'm telling you, the reports and details out there paint a picture that's hard to ignore.